Hey lovelies, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be teaching you how to make a basic gown. Okay, I'll be teaching you step by step on how to draft a basic gown. All right, let's dive into the tutorial. So the shoulder is 14 inches. We divide it by 2, that is 7. All right, so we take our vertical measurement, we go down by the bust point, which is 9, the half length is 16, the hip will mark 23, and we're going to use the whole of this for the full length. Okay, so we're going to draw those lines out. All right, just like this. So that is the waist, that is the hip right there, and we're going to go ahead and label them. All right, so the shoulder slope, we come down by 1 inch. Okay, and then we slant it into the neck. All right, so we're going to go down to determine our chest line. Chest line is bust. You divide your bust by 6 plus 1.5 or 2.2 inches depending. So at that point, that is where we get our chest line. We label it. That's the bust point. This is the waist, this is the hip, and the leftover there is going to be our full length. Okay, so to determine the armhole, all right, we're going to go ahead and divide the chest line by 2, just like so. We mark the point right there. All right, and then we're going to take a straight line. All right, just like I'm doing right there. Okay, so that is on the chest line. Okay, so we're going to go in. All right, we're going to go in by half an inch. We're going to extract our curve right there. All right, just like so. That is for the front armhole. For the back armhole, there will be no going in by 0.5. We're just going to extract the back armhole there. So we're just going to label it so that you don't get confused. That's the front, and that is the back as well. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and determine our dart right now. On the bust point, we're going to take our bust span divided by 2. For this is 4 inches. All right, nipple to nipple divided by 2, and then you take it down. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take a straight line just like this from the bust point down to the hip. That is where our dart is going to sit on. Okay, on the bust point, we come down by 1 inch, and then on the hip we go up by 3 inches, just like so. All right, and then on the waist, we're going to come in by 0.5, and we're equally going to go out by 0.5. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and extract our dart just like this. All right, so this is what our dart is going to look like. All right, this is going to give your outfit a very good shape, and that is mostly for contouring, like you already know. All right, to make it sit properly on your body. All right, so we're going to go ahead and extract our body measurement. Okay, you're going to divide your bust by 4. All right, and then you put allowance. Okay, but for the waist, we're going to divide our waist by 4. All right, and then remember the half inch, that is 1 inch that you deducted, so you're going to add it back. And when you want to cut, you're going to go ahead and add allowance, your sewing allowance. On the hip as well, you're going to divide it by 4, and you do well to add your sewing allowance. Okay, so this is what it looks like. We're going to go ahead and we're going to use the waist, what we have in the waist, down on the full length. Okay, because it is going to be like a fitted gown, So the measurement we had on the waist is what we extracted down to the full length, all right, like towards the leg, the knee, all right. If you want, you can actually add +1, your waist measurement +1, all right. So that is what we have for our gown. The shape is so looking pretty, all right. So this is what we have, and we're going to go ahead, add allowances before we cut. If you want, you can go ahead and add allowances. We're going to go ahead and take our neck. We're just going to work with the basic neck, which is 3 inch, all right, 3 inches depth and 3 inches width, all right. You can use this to extract any kind of neck you want, all right. But we're just going to use this for the sake of this tutorial, all right. So we have extracted our neck, we have drawn what we have there. For the back, it's going to be 1.5 depth, but the same 3 inches, okay. The depth of the back is going to be 1.5. So we're just going to like label it so that you don't get confused. We don't get confused while we are cutting it, okay. So at this point, we're just going to go ahead and cut it out, guys. Please, guys, like, share, and subscribe. Hit on the thumbnail, all right, and recommend our videos to your friends, all right. We have a lot here, and we hope that you stick with us and you learn step by step with us, okay. Thank you so much to you guys. So we're going to go ahead and use this front measurement to extract our back measurement, all right. We're just going to go ahead and use this front measurement, all right. But then we have our zip allowance right there, all right. We're just going to put like 1 inch or 1.5 inches for zip allowance, all right, because definitely your gown is going to have a zip at the back, all right. So we're going to use this front pattern to extract our back, all right. So first of all, we actually drew a straight line in order for us to be sure that we actually have everything straight going well. So we go in on the neck. We're just going to take like, we're going to keep like a space on like 1/2 inch up there, all right, for the back pattern. And after that 1/2 inch, we are going to go ahead and place it exactly like so after the zip allowance, okay. We're going to place it after the zip allowance, and we're going to extract those measurements, okay, so that we know that this is for this, this is for this, and this is for that, all right. We go ahead and we cut it out. We mark where the chest line is, where the bust point is, all right, where the waist is, where the hip is. We're just going to go ahead and cut it out. But if you want, you can still repeat the same process of the measurements that we did. It's still the same thing. So that is why we just kind of place it together, all right. We're just going, the only thing we're going to be doing there is going to be, the only difference is going to be our that, okay. So we just extract our neck, all right. We extend it to that 1/2 inch that we kept there, all right. We're just going to go ahead and cut it out. Don't forget the front neckline is still there, labeled right there, all right. We haven't cut the front, we just cut the back, all right. So the shoulder, it was already cut with the back, all right. We're going to cut both the front neckline and the shoulder, the armhole to get now, all right. So that is what we'll be doing. It's not for the front. That this right here is, we are cutting the armhole for the front. The first one we cut, remember, don't forget, it was for the back. The same thing applicable to the neckline, all right. We cut 1.5 neckline for the back, but the neckline, the depth was 3 inches. So that is what we're actually cutting out right now. So the only thing we're going to do to the back right now is we're going to extract our dart, all right. because the dart for the front started with the bust point, whereas for the back it's going to start with the chest line. All right, that is why we did what we did. But if you want, you can go ahead and start the measurement afresh, but it's still the same thing. All right, for the sake of not allowing this video to be so long, I just want to like make it really short like this. Okay, so we go ahead and label those points that we mark using the front measurement. Okay, so this is the hip, this is the full length, and that is the waist right there. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and determine our dart. Okay, don't forget the dart for the back is going to start on the chest line. All right, not the bust point. Bust point is not actually needed here, that's why I mark X there. All right, we need the chest line, the waist, and the hip. All right, so on the chest line, just like we did, I went ahead with 4 inches. Okay, I marked 4 inches, which is our bust span divided by 2. All right, or say nipple to nipple divided by 4 is divided by 2. Sorry, it's still the same thing. All right, so we go ahead and mark it, and from the chest line we come down by 1 inch. Okay, and then we go up on the hip by 3. Okay, so and then on the waist we now go ahead and come in by 1/2 inch, and then we go out by 1/2 inch, just like so. All right, then we connect all the dots like we did before. Okay, so that is what we are going to do now, and that's just basically it for this measurement. All right, so that is just what it is. We're going to go ahead, connect this points together. Guys, if you've been watching my tutorial from the beginning, like since I started this YouTube channel, you understand, you will wake up in the midnight and be able to cut this, because for the past few days I have been concentrating on this, especially for beginners, because I'm just laying emphasis, because from this we'll migrate to so many other things. Okay, so if you haven't watched my tutorial on basic bodies, I think you should go ahead and watch this very one as well, and you get a very solid foundation for bust dart and how to contour your dress very well. Okay, so after imputing this dart, you're going to go ahead and add allowance. All right, the allowance for the waist, which is 1/2 inch, that is 1 inch. All right, you're going to go ahead and add all those allowances. All right, so that is just it on how to cut a basic gown. You can style it with any kind of hand. You can go ahead and style it with any kind of neck using this. Okay, that is the front and that is the back. So guys, that is basically what this tutorial is all about. It is very easy, very beginner friendly. All right, you want to like, you're going to share, go ahead, like, okay, share, comment. All right, please turn on your notification so that anytime we post, you will be the first. Like my hand is up there. Thank you so much, I appreciate you. See you in my next video.